coach. I used to coach over in Sweden. I coached for Björklöven for like
Oh,
6 months when I was like 19. Yeah.
oh,
There was like a whole
okay.
thing like their goalie coach had died actually. And they were like restructuring like the
Hmm.
whole thing. And so they brought on a new goalie coach for the men's team, which was Division 2. I think they're all Svensken at that point. And
Yeah.
then they hired me for like I did would be U18, J18, J16, and then a little bit of like U14, I guess, equivalent. It was like co-ed.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I did that for like 6 months and then they couldn't
Crazy.
pay me any money. There was like a big like embezzlement thing and they had lost a
Oh,
lot of money.
wow.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. And
Oh.
yeah, so they didn't have any money to pay me. So I was just living with one of the coaches. And then eventually like my bank account ran out and I had to go home and go back to college.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
Yeah.
an
So
interesting story.
yeah, I've had a little Swedish hockey experience.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
I'm super excited to get to talk to you because first saw you your last year at BU was my first year coaching in Maine. And
Ah.
yeah, and one of the things that stood out to me right away was there's I think there's a bias sometimes against European goalies and European players in general with college hockey. And
Hmm.
like you started at Ohio State and Ohio State and a lot of these WCHA teams are very much like American Canadian pipeline teams, I would say. There's very few Europeans that have
Yes.
come more now, I would say.
Yeah.
They're starting to break in, but you were coming out of that. And I remember at one point, one player or one person asked me, like, hey, like, what do you think of this goalie for BU? And I was like, listen, I don't know if you looked at the stats or anything, but I think we're in for one here. I think we're in for one here.
Yeah.
I would love to know, like, for you, what was it like? What kind of spurred that decision to go from Ohio State to BU? And what was that transition like from WCHA to Hockey East?
Um, well, there was different like factors that played into that decision, I would say. First was for sure like I at that point graduated from Ohio State. So I
Hmm.
knew I had to like make some sort of decision because I knew I had one more year because of COVID. And I knew I didn't want to kind of like go that like put it to waste and just go back to Europe.
Hmm.
Because you will never get that year back. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's a once in a lifetime to be in college. There's like a limited amount of players from Europe that can actually do that.
Hmm.
So I was like, hey, I wanna spend one more year in North America playing college. So I looked at like programs more like school wise.
Okay.
Like Ohio State didn't offer as much like master's program as other like schools. So I like kind of really like went for like academic decision there because it was right after the Olympics too, like in
Yeah.
2022. So, and that like year after the Olympic is always like one that is, I don't know, it's just like made for big decisions in terms of like changes, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Because it's like after Olympics, it's like everyone is kind of like figuring out what they want to do, and it's like so it was the best time to make a big decision. So I
Yeah.
thought, why not make a major change and switch conferences? So I went to
Yeah.
BU. It was interesting to see how much like how different it was playing for a WCHA team and then Hockey
Mhm.
East, like in terms of playing style. Because I think
Yeah.
WCHA is like it's how do I say it? It's more like um I don't know. Like it's less like brutal, it's just going through like seven players and more like circling around, making like beautiful plays sometimes.
Yeah. I would say it is a lot more not like European, like say, but like that North American, like traditional, like dump and chase type hockey style
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
way more Hockey East, I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah. You have
Yeah.
a lot more like not grinders, but like kind of grind down play style.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my first game in Hockey East. I was like almost, I wasn't shocked, but I was like, whoa, this is a new league, I would say. This is something else. So it took me a while to get used to it, I
Yeah.
would say. But Yeah.
I always thought that that was kind of the issue with Hockey East. Like, WCHA just has so much success, and like you'll get a
Mhm.
Hockey East team or two that makes it into like the top 10, sometimes maybe the top 15,
Yeah.
kind of where they live. But I feel like part of the reason they don't have success is because, when they get to that big game, they can't like it's hard to play the grinding style against a team that's faster than you and more
Yeah.
skilled than you. And then you have to play the
Yeah.
skill game and you just can't keep up.
No, exactly. And you see that every year in Frozen Four or like
Yeah.
in the national like championships when a Hockey East team plays WCHA, it's like they have
Yeah.
a hard time. And it's just like sometimes like I think like why is Hockey East not like adjusting more? But it's just the
I
way if they like the way they play, I guess. I
I
don't
thought we
know.
had a chance with Mueller. I thought that Northeastern team with Mueller and Frankel had
Yeah,
a real chance at it. Because
they were
I was telling
close. Yeah.
people this during the Olympics of because I feel like obviously a lot of focus is put on Canada and the United States, but
Mhm.
I was trying to tell people I was like, I watched Hockey East from the time my cousin actually played at BC and Maine back in like the late 2000s, and then
Mhm.
from there on, I saw a lot of players come through. And if you were to like ask me like who the top like two players were that I saw come through, like it's Mueller and Bilka for me were
Mhm.
like the two best. And I think they're way closer than people give them credit for.
100%, 100%. You can tell now, like when you see them, like a couple years after college, like
Mm.
how they popped off, especially Alina now in the PWHL. Like it's insane.
Oh,
And it just shows that European hockey is pretty solid, I would say. Like we got
yeah.
some good players.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the thing about the PWHL, right? Is there's so many
Yeah,
players like yourself that are not like if it were all the best players, you'd be in the league. And
yeah,
you can't you probably would say that, but I'll say that. And like there's so many good players, especially in the Swedish league now, where I feel like a lot of top Finnish talent has also moved over from the Aura League or whatever they're calling it
yeah,
now. And just like, if you look at that, like that Swedish team you guys beat, that's a that's a really solid team. That they're gonna
yeah.
be nasty in 4 years.
Yeah, when the young players are like more like settled down and more developed, I think the Swedish team is going to be a top
Mhm.
contender for every medal in every tournament, I would say. Yeah,
Going,
like
yeah,
it was scary to play them, to be honest. It was
really?
scary. I was like, yeah, it was. Because I know like how good they are, like especially the young ones, like the like Hilda Svensson that plays at Ohio State. Like obviously
Yeah.
I follow her season. Like I see the way she plays in college. So I was like, well, if everyone of the Swedish team can perform at their best,
Mm,
it's going to be a very, very tough shot for us to beat them because like to be honest, like we have like majority of our players play in the Swiss league.
mhm,
And yes, there's been some major development in the Swiss league, but like you can't compare that to NCAA or the Swedish league yet,
mhm.
you know.
You're
So
right.
I knew it's going to be a tough one if everyone in the Swedish team plays at their best.
Yeah.
Luckily, like they also weren't like I would say like super lucky, in their chances and everything. I think they could have been different. So I'll take that. I'll take the
Yeah.
medal. Don't worry.
Well, you
I'm not
also played
complaining.
very well. You played very well in that game.
Yeah, I can't complain. It was everything worked out at the end, I still haven't watched that game. Honestly, I have no
Really.
idea how. Like, no, I probably won't ever watch it again. I don't
Do you
know.
normally watch games back other than like doing film?
No, depends on the game. It really depends on the game. I think one game that I like watched the most was like my one of my first games against the US on
Mm.
international level because it was like historic a 3-0 loss against yeah, that was historic by then. It
Yeah.
was like a 3-0 loss. We're like, whoa, that was so good. I think that was the most game I've like watched in the past.
Mm,
Other than that, I usually don't.
mm.
Except like, yeah, for film purpose, like if we play, you know, against that team in the future, maybe I'll watch it again. But
Gotcha.
you know.
How was it growing up in the Swiss leagues, like developing wise and like, at what point were you like, I'm want to make the jump to the NCAA? And then at what point you're like, how do I do this? Because I feel like for a lot of international players that don't come over here, it's almost like those international competitions are your way to try to make your splash. Like, what was that
Mm.
process for you getting to Ohio State?
It came to me pretty late, because as you said, it's like you grow up, and I played with guys like boys hockey all the
Mhm.
way till like the year I went to Ohio State, basically.
Mhm.
So women's hockey or all women's hockey was never really in my thoughts. And like going abroad was always like I knew it's possible, but I kind of always felt like it's so far away, like
Mhm.
it's almost impossible. Like because I didn't know how I would get there,
Right.
because in my close like environment or with family and friends, like I didn't have someone that would go or that went at that time. So I never really got the thought of, hey, I could do that. And then we moved up with under 18 to uh the top division. And for the first time, like I played, with the big names, USA and Canada and all those guys. So that was the first year I was like, hey, maybe I can. And then after that tournament, I got an offer from a college. I think it was Bemidji State at that time.
Okay.
I know, right?
There you go.
Um, but it was like for me, it was early because I was like still doing school and I had like 2 years left. So I told them, hey, I can't right now, but maybe in like 2.5 years or something like that if you're still interested. Never heard back from them, like never. So I was like, okay, might as well. Maybe that was my only shot and I missed it. Who knows? But then, like a year and a half later, Ohio State saw me play in an international tournament, reached out, and at that time it just felt right to accept that. And I
Yeah.
was like, hey, why not, right? Why not?
I mean, that's
Why
one of
not
the
just go?
biggest colleges in the United States, not just for hockey. Like you're going to be with legit future NFL players and NBA players and MLB
Yep.
players.
But you know what? I didn't know that at that time.
Oh,
I had no idea how big Ohio State's athletic program was until I came to Ohio State and I saw the campus and I saw like they gave me like my first week they gave me like a tour for campus and we went to like the football facility and I was like, whoa, they're actually legit here. And I was like,
did,
maybe I need to like, actually put in some effort.
do you think
So yeah, I didn't know that when I came because
that's
no one like I
amazing?
had no like clue what's going on in college. I also had to Google how NCAA works. So yeah, it was kind of funny. But
That's
I
the
got
hardest
it was
part sometimes with getting international players is like you have like your own school
yeah,
system and you're like, I don't know how this equivalates to like our high
yeah,
school system. And, obviously like we know girls are graduating 17, but some girls in Europe are graduating 18, 19. And like you said, it
yeah.
can throw everything off. And like when you have a player coming in versus leaving, and I mean, now with the transfer portal, it's crazy. But,
Yeah.
and also it's the problem of like, okay, she had this save percentage and these stats in the Swiss A League. How does that translate to NCAA?
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like you try to go through like, the history of, Swiss goalies who played in like Shaling, for example, like who
Mhm.
played Swiss League and then played, college. And you're like, all right, well, we'll see, I guess, like kind of the equivalent,
Yeah.
you know?
I think it helped that I played like in the national team.
Hmm.
I think that helped a lot. Also,
Yeah.
like comparing like where can they put me, in relations to other goalie. And I think it helped like my first like game I have for Ohio, first couple games I have for Ohio State were really good. Um
That first year was unbelievable.
yeah, well I honestly like looking back now, like I got lucky there.
Mm.
I would say lucky in goalie perspective that the other goalie that was supposed to split the season with me got injured. The
Ah.
first like I think it was like the second week of season. We were meant to split that season, like me and her,
Hmm.
but then she got injured, so they put me like I got lucky to like really get in the spotlight and then kind of got set on that first like number one position by playing really solid. And
Mm.
then she came back and never like basically got a chance again. Like I just like kept going,
Would that be
which is like
Zelgin or Wallace?
oh, I think it was Second,
Zaglin? Yeah.
Seglin, yeah, yeah. That's her. Yeah. Well, no, Wallace stayed for another year, I think after that. And then Seglin transferred out or was done. Yeah, something like that.
I mean, it's so hard as a goal, like you said, like there's only one spot, right? And
Yeah,
so sometimes these opportunities come and you just gotta like you just gotta take them. Like
yeah.
it worked out for you, like you said, you got lucky maybe is a strong word, but like it worked out for you.
Yeah. Like you never know like how else like that season would have gone if
Right.
we would have split the season. You never know, you know.
Right. But
But that's
also
like that's yeah.
you played unbelievable.
It was yeah, I can't complain again. Like I really got into like a good rhythm there, and sometimes as a goalie if it like in German we say like if it goes well, it goes well. Like it's just like it just keeps going, you
Yeah.
know. Um and that would happen there and I just kept going for like the rest of my college career almost.
So did you played boys hockey up and was college the first time you're on an all girls team outside of like international?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you think about because I remember like in the summers I was good friends with Lauren Porter who played at Maine and
Hmm.
did very well. And in the summers when she would skate with us, it's almost exclusively like male shooters, college junior shooters, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And, obviously it's like a little different, like how they shoot and, they can put a little bit more weight and I think they can whip the puck a little bit more and the release is a little
Yeah.
different, that sort of thing. Like, what for you was the biggest transition from not only going from boys European hockey to now it's girls hockey and it's American, the dimensions are different, the angles are a little different. Like, it's a big jump to make.
Yeah. I think it helped that it went from like the big ice to the small ice. So intensity wise, like it
Hmm.
wasn't that much of a difference because I think for women's hockey, the small ice, so much better. Like I think that
Mm.
really fits us, like makes everything fast. Was it the same as boys hockey? Obviously not. But since it was a small ice, like it was
Mm.
pretty fast paced. So it wasn't in that sense, wasn't that much of a difference.
Okay.
Um, I think the biggest difference was, like being within the dynamics of an all-female team
Mm.
that I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
Like having an all-female team, it can be challenging, I would say,
Yeah.
because all girls sometimes, there's a lot of tension going on. Sometimes where with the men's team would be just like a one shot thing, be like, hey, you have some issues, let's talk about it, or let's fight, and then it's
Yeah.
over. Whereas the girls was like, what some things would just go on the whole season. I'm like, guys, it's really not that big of a deal. Like, figure it out. So I
Yeah.
think that was the biggest change. Like
That's
getting
interesting.
into that, like how you handle all of that.
That's so
Playing
interesting.
wise, like wasn't that bad actually.
Huh. I honestly,
Yeah.
I thought the same thing too. Like going from coaching mostly like guys hockey to coaching girls hockey. I thought that was the biggest difference too of like, goaltending is goaltending. Obviously, there's a
Yeah.
few differences because you guys are just a little bit shorter on average. I'd say you're like
Yeah.
an average height for a woman's goalie, 5'7",
Yeah.
5'8".
Yeah.
And that would be a extremely tiny male goalie. And
Yes.
so like just like the angles and like the box control or however you want to call it,
Yeah.
like that's obviously a little
Yeah.
different. But like my biggest difference was the amount of times like players would come and like have like an issue with another player and just like how that saga would play out.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it's just, and I mean I think it's just difference between men and women and how those things like how people come, communicate socially.
Yeah. And emotionally, and just like everything plays a different
Right.
role. Like that's just like different dynamics. I think that's like the biggest issue for a lot of people going into women's hockey is like they
Yeah.
expect like the a male locker room atmosphere, and it's totally different, and that's like you
Mm.
can't compare that because we're just different characters, different
Right.
people, just emotionally, like hormonal and all that kind of stuff. Like it's
I'd always wonder
crazy.
too, like, a lot of the men's players are coming after a few years of junior hockey. So
Hmm.
this is not their first time being away from home, and a lot of I feel like the antics, not that there's no antics in, men's college
Yeah.
hockey. There's a lot of things that go on, but
Yeah.
some of the crazy stuff of juniors does kind of get worked out a little bit. And, you get a kid after 2 years of junior, 3 years of junior that's coming in 20, 21 years old, like they are a little bit, they're not necessarily mature, but they are a little bit more mature than, a 7, 18-year-old girl who's leaving home for the first time and
Yeah.
going to legit be on her own outside of, prep school girls who have been on their own for a
Mm.
little bit. But like for a lot of them, this
Yeah.
is their first time. And, we got COVID kids now who they had a
True.
whole shut-in
Yeah.
period. And this like their communication is not, it's not quite there.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see once those COVID kids like flood like the pro leagues,
Yeah.
like how it's gonna be. Like I'm just waiting for them to appear in a national team of being super weird. So far it hasn't really showed yet, but we're also not really there yet. So we'll see.
Yeah. So what do you, how have you thought about, obviously, was the PWHL really up and running when you graduated BU, or was it just kind of getting started at that point?
It wasn't there yet.
Wasn't there? It was still the old league.
No, yeah, it was still
Okay.
the it was that like PHF or something like that was it called?
Yeah.
That and when I graduated BU, it was between a team in the PHF and Swedish team that
Gotcha.
I had on offer. Yeah, but then the PHF just like always like sounded like I wouldn't say sketchy to me, but it's kind of just didn't feel right to me. So I trusted my
Yeah.
gut feeling there and went to Sweden. It just felt more right, I guess. Which I was like happy about it, to be honest. I trusted my
Okay.
gut feeling and not went for the money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of happy there.
Well, I do wonder how much that factors in is like, I like that they're trying to build the league up financially
Mm,
more stable than in past iterations,
yeah,
right? And that does mean that some girls are making like 30 grand. And, if you're trying to live in New York City or a big, it's
yeah.
not happening.
No.
It's not gonna, you're not gonna be living off of that. And
No.
so, I do wonder, and I'd love your thoughts on this of like how much of a barrier to entry for at least top players like yourself that could 100% play. Nobody's like arguing that could 100%
Yeah.
play in the league and be very good, but aren't here yet is like the financial component. Do you think of, I need to be able to make some money here.
I think for international player, it's huge, obviously, because we don't have a family that we can rely on over there. You know what I mean? Like I would
Right.
say like for young American Canadians, I think it's easier to settle for less money and
Mm,
go for the dream, if that makes sense, and be like, hey,
yeah.
I just want to achieve my dream, and maybe like in 2 or 3 years the money will come, or I will just like suffer now and push through those 2 years and then just quit hockey. But then at least I can say I did it. But for us internationals that go over at a bit of an older age, I would say, like me, like I'm 28 and I'm entering the draft now. So
Mhm.
I'm 28. I'm not gonna settle for a 30, like a 30K, because like what am I gonna do with that in my life? Like
Yeah.
so I think it's different there. Like you got to see it from that perspective. Like I think for Canadian American, it's fine because they can rely also on family. They can get through, I guess, because they have everything in their home country. But for us going over and then just living off whatever salary, it's not how it works. I think for us, it's more like a barrier than for American Canadians, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the rosters, like a lot of those girls are just local to where the team is from, so they can,
Yeah,
figure something out, whether it is living at
yeah,
home with family or, whatever the
yeah,
situation might be.
yeah,
Yeah. I kind of thought that would probably be the case, and I had also wondered too of like I feel like they've had many iterations of this attempt at like the female NHL equivalent, and I had wondered like because you said like past leagues have been a little sketch at times, and
yeah.
just like kind of waiting to see of like I'll let this run for a few years and see like how it plays out and what kind of money gets put
Yeah.
into this, what kind of crowds are getting pulled in, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's always like in my career, there was always like some sort of North American league, but it was also kind of like it came up, it was kind of big, but then it vanished again. So I think us Europeans, we were very cautious about the
Mm.
PWHL because like we're like, oh, here we go again, another league. Like, let's see how long this is gonna last. But then
Right.
I think it like from early on, like we could tell that there's something different in how the league was organized and run. that was more professional, more like, okay, maybe we can actually trust this to be a long-term thing. And now I think you can tell, like, like the arenas are pretty much still sold out, like across the teams, not just like one or two teams that are selling out on a regular basis, but I think it's all of them pretty much. So I think you can tell, like, it's really something that maybe we can really rely on. And I think the longer it runs, more and more European players see that and go over for not just like a year, but for longer.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the goal, right? Is to be able to go over and
Yep.
have a 15, 20-year career if you can pull it off and,
Yep.
make really good money and come back and, you know, I mean, obviously long term, we'd love to be able to just come back and I don't know, not retire, but just kind of do what you want, like a men's player could.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, right now it's obviously like, having not second jobs. I would say like Swedish League, you could probably work full time, but um
Yeah.
some girls obviously have other jobs and that sort of thing. But like,
Yeah. In Sweden, for sure. Yes.
yeah, I mean, but it's
Pretty
tough to
much all of
like,
them.
I mean, how are you gonna go full in on hockey? You're trying to, you got to be ready for the Olympics. Like you said, like, how much, actually, this is a bigger question. So you guys finished fourth in your first Olympics, correct?
Actually, I was there in 2018. That's where we finished fifth, but I didn't
Okay.
play.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
you
I didn't
played
play.
you played not this past one, but the one before, and you guys finished
Yeah,
fourth.
2022. Yes.
Right. How much did you come out of that? Like, we're real close to that medal. Like, 4 years, we can be there. Like, what was your takeaway from that Olympics?
That we weren't close at
Oh,
all
really?
because we had zero chances in that bronze medal game. We had like one, we didn't even have like a dangerous shot, I think, in that game. Like seriously. Like that's why I think it was like I was heartbroken. Obviously, you are because you
Yeah.
lose the bronze medal. Like obviously, if you are not heartbroken, why are you there? Literally. So it doesn't matter if you have a chance or not. Like you still have a chance by being in that game because you never know with hockey.
Right.
But at that point, I realized that we were close, but not close at all. Like there needs to
Mm,
be a lot of work done. And then after that, I knew like there is a solid chance in 4 years, obviously, because like I think we got like a lot of young talents in after 2022.
mm,
But I knew it's gonna take a lot, and I knew everything needs to work out in our favor that we actually gonna win this medal, and it kind of sort of showed that it went that way, like it because like a 1-0 win in the quarterfinals, like when is that ever gonna happen again? I don't know. Like I don't know. And then a 2-1 like against Canada, we were like I still can't believe how close we were to actually going to the gold medal game. Like I still
I
can't believe that.
I mean, I kind of can, to be honest. Like, I feel like it's maybe it's like an American thing. This, like, I kind of encountered it a little bit when I was coaching overseas of like this idea of like the underdogs and like we can pull off the impossible is such an American
Yes.
thing. I actually think that like the Miracle movie kind of ruined American hockey a little bit because everybody got this thing in their head of like we're gonna pick the right guys. And I'm like, we could also just pick the best guys. That would work too. Like, we don't always
Yeah,
have to find the right dudes. And like, it worked out obviously this past Olympics, but there's been times where we left some really good players off the roster, and I blame Miracle for that entirely. But like, there
yeah.
definitely there definitely is that mindset, and that I just don't find that it exists in Europe, where I feel like like it's a lot more realism of we know where we stand of like if we're close, if we're not close, and like we're not like counting ourselves out, but we're being very like realistic about if we lose, then we lose. Like it is what it is, and it's probably the expected outcome.
True, true. True. And I think for us, it has also been a build-up because like we were so close so many times. And we never really
Mm.
got to actually finish it and actually win a medal. Like either world championships, like how many times have we been in the bronze medal game, didn't win a single thing,
Oh
you
gosh.
know? So I know, like it's been brutal. So we were like, okay, here we go again, another fourth place. But then I think what helped is that it wasn't Finland or Czech in
Mm.
the bronze medal game. It was Sweden. And we knew Sweden is like in reach because we just beat them in like in a friendly like pre-Olympic like
Right.
matchup. We beat them. We usually beat them at World Championships, and I think
Mm.
that moment when we saw it's going to be Sweden gave us that boost to really dig in and play.
Mhm.
you know,
I also think you would
and
look
like
at the
play
other
for the
goalie
win.
too, right? Like you would look at the other goalie and be like, not that she's not a bad, not to say she's a bad goalie, but like this
Yeah,
is not, the normal experienced goalies. Like Sweden has Bowman, obviously they have Soderberg. Like they have some girls
yeah.
that have lots of experience, and
Hmm.
this is a girl playing her first legit top level international competition of the
Yeah.
Olympics.
No, true. And I think like we knew, like I knew her, and we have some friends like in the national team that played with her, and like they talked to her, and she said, "Oh, I was so nervous before the quarterfinal game." So I think that also like played a major role in like, hey, we can really beat this
Mhm.
team, even though they're on paper they're really good. And then it helped that they thought they're the underdogs, and we kind of still thought we're the underdogs. I don't know. Like it was an interesting mix up, to be honest. Like we both thought we're underdogs. We both thought, hey, if we win, we win. That will be cool. But like, you know. So it was an interesting matchup going on there. I'm just glad, honestly, that we won. Honestly, going like looking back now is crazy. Like I still can't believe it.
How much pressure and like how much like responsibility did you put on your own shoulders going into this most recent Olympics of like we have a chance to get that bronze medal, but
Yeah.
how like X amount of that's going to fall on my shoulders. Do you not really do that, or do you like that? I know like some goalies love it, some goalies hate it.
I said I how do I say this? Like I knew if I play at my best level, I'm gonna win the bronze medal.
Mm,
Emphasis on I'm. Like I literally told myself I'm gonna win this bronze medal.
mm,
Obviously I know like I'm not unrealistic being like I can win an actual game, like because I can't score goals.
right.
Like I
Yeah.
can't do everything. I can do a major
Mm,
part, but I can't do everything. But I knew if I play my best, like I knew I had it in me to win this medal for the
mm,
team if the team is like also obviously scoring goals. But I knew like with
right.
Helena on the team, with Laura and all those guys on the team, I knew if I play my best and give us a solid chance, like keep it 0, we're gonna win a game.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why
So
I wasn't
yeah.
surprised about Canada, because I was like, I feel like way they're playing, like how respective of how they look on paper, right? Like the
Hmm.
way they've been playing in the tournament, obviously, like, you know, Poulin's not at 100%,
Yeah.
and they're not like exactly like firing on all cylinders at the moment.
Hmm.
And I felt like you were, and I felt like your team kind
Yeah.
of was, and I was like, this feels like a game where if it's close, that like you said, like Laura, Alina, and Raleigh are gonna break through at some point against any team. Like
Yeah.
they're good enough to play on any team in the tournament, and they're gonna break through at some point. It kind of felt like that as like a goal of like if I can keep this within a goal or so, then we're going to break through eventually.
Yeah, that was my thoughts going into. I was like, my thoughts like I sometimes against like USA and Canada, I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna give them like max 2 goals because I knew if I gonna give them max 2 goals, hey, you never know what's gonna
Right.
happen. So I knew going into the game, like keeping the game like the score as close as possible is gonna give us a valid chance. And I, however, didn't expect that chance to be that big, you know? And
Hmm.
like people can say, yeah, look at the shot counts. I don't care about the shot count because like we also won the quarterfinal game 1-0. Shot count was like 44-14 or something like that. Shot count doesn't really, I know. I know it's crazy if you think about it, but shot count doesn't always reflect the game, like the
Yeah,
dynamic of the game, because
100%.
they can fire shots from everywhere and that counts as a shot, to be honest. So
Right.
like I think the chances we had were solid chances. So going like throughout the game, I got like almost more nervous than in the bronze medal game because I'm like, whoa, guys, if we actually can pull this off, I think we're gonna quit hockey on the spot because you can't get better than beating Canada in a semifinal at the Olympics. I'm gonna literally hang the gold medal around USA's neck. I don't care anymore. But if we win this, I'm gonna retire. Like to be honest.
You get a stat. If
Yeah.
you guys had beat Canada, you would have got a statue. You guys would have got
Oh
a
my God,
statue outside the
seriously. I'm gonna
Capitol.
build my own statue, honestly. I don't care. It's like she can't get better than that. Like,
At what point in the game was that like starting to creep in where you're like, guys, like we're here. We're here right now.
I think after first period being like 0-0, I think that was like
Mm,
okay. Like I was concerned in the first 10 minutes, or not even first 10, but like first five
yeah.
minutes when they like ran us over. And I was like, whoa, guys, if we don't like buckle up now and actually start going, we're gonna
Yeah.
get destroyed. But then they like slowed down so much after that first push. I think they like their goal was to like get on the scoreboard like very early in the game, decide it. And so, when they didn't manage to do that, they kind of like broke down a bit. And then
Mm,
it was like a pretty even game, I would say. And that like throughout the first period, I was like, guys, if we can play solid defense for 60 minutes and then capitalize on the chances that we have, I think there's a major chance here. So I think it was like throughout the first period, towards the end, when I realized, hey, we can do this actually. And
mm.
I think it was for everyone pretty much because they realized they're not like usually when you play USA and Canada, you're always on kind of like on the back foot. You're like chasing a bit, or you're like trying to survive out there. Like you're in survival mode almost throughout the whole game. But this time it wasn't. It was an actual game. Like you were head to head almost.
Yeah.
And
No,
that was like crazy.
yeah, that's what I was watching. I was like, this is not like you expect them to make the push early. I
Yes.
think Canada and US both do that. They really buckle down. But if you survive that first wave of the period, and I feel like it comes like beginning of the period and then like the end of the period
Hmm.
almost. If you can kind of survive those, like, you have a
Yep.
chance. You have a legit chance.
Yes.
From a goaltending perspective, like going into that game, is there like something specific you're trying to focus on? I feel like at this point, I'm guessing you probably know your game pretty well, right?
Yeah.
And you sort of know what makes you successful. Like, what did you feel like for you those keys were gonna be?
I think it was like pretty much stay calm and stay on my feet.
Hmm.
I think that's like a major, like what I learned throughout all the games I had against USA and Canada is like stay like on your feet as long as you can because you never know if there's like one last little pass to like some
Yeah,
other areas. And
yeah,
if you get set too much on that, like because you think they're gonna shoot, where like like every other nation probably would shoot, but Canada, US, they like to throw in a little extra surprise sometimes. If you're prepared for everything, if you stay on your feet as long as you can, you're ready for whatever they
yeah.
throw at you, you know? And I think that's like my major like thing when I go into those
Mhm.
games to just like stay on my feet and be like don't be too square on everything. Just like prepare for everything almost.
Do you like to like over square or like under square generally?
Depends on the situation,
Okay.
really. Like I'm not a one or like one or the other guy, like person, like goalie. I tend to like I think my one of my biggest strengths is to really like adjust to the situation. Like
Mhm.
read the situation and just like play the best way I can or the best way I know from experience for that individual situation kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan of the panda?
And what is the panda?
It's I don't maybe I don't know what the name I know so like, I'm not sure what the name might be. Everyone calls it something different. Like I remember when I was in Sweden, they were calling like the RVH the SMS, and I was trying to
Oh.
forever to like figure out. I'm like, what is this SMS people keep talking about? But I'm like, oh, RVH, okay. So the panda is basically like when people play, especially plays that are wide, they play them very flat,
Mhm.
and they end up kind of not like following like that traditional, just stay square, stay on your arc type deal following the player. They
Oh.
play it more like body up ice with the idea being that because they're on the
Yeah.
wing, the angle of a shot is not great and you can still kind of be in the box technically even though you're sideways to it. And they back in with 1 foot outside the post, 1 foot inside. And so if the rebound goes to the middle, you don't have to like square up. You're already square and you can quickly
Yeah.
over. The problem is you put yourself in an incredibly awkward position for saves
Hmm.
if someone just throws the puck at you from a weird
Yeah.
angle, and like if they carry it, then they end up behind you and you're 1 foot out and you got to go farther to get to the other side. And like there's like trade-offs obviously with it.
Yeah. I would say if it fits your playing style, go for it. Like if you're very fast reactively, like if you're very fast to react to stuff, if you're um fast on your feet and then can handle being a little bit behind the play because you got to square up, go for it. I personally not a fan of that. Like I like to be as square as possible, but like with a narrow stance, if that
Okay.
makes sense. Because
Yeah.
that just fits my style because that's where I get the most strength out of my legs. But obviously that was trial and error. I had to figure that out myself. Like start out wide, came back in, and then realized that when I have a narrow stand with my feet, I'm way better off if I'm square or whatever.
How sharp do you do your skates with a
Not
narrow
that
stick?
sharp. I
Okay.
realized not that sharp after talking to the equipment guy in the national team. And I'm like, hey, can we do this and that? Maybe we need to do a little sharper. And
Yeah.
then he's like, yeah, that's still way less sharp than the average goalie. And I'm like, huh, okay,
Oh, you,
interesting.
yeah, I remember back when I was like when I was still playing, it was Jonathan Quick was like the guy at the time for American hockey.
Hmm.
And so I was like trying to kind of copy him. Bad idea. My hips are still not any good from that. But um he used I'm trying to remember, it was like 3/8 or something was his sharpening or something crazy like that.
Oh,
And
wow.
I told the equipment guy, I was like, I want 3/8, and they're like, are you sure you want that? And they're like, I'm like, Jonathan Quick does it. I want it. And so I went out there and I didn't have like the most narrow stance in the world, but I would say it's like
Yeah.
narrower. And
Yeah.
I could not move at all to the point where I was like, I don't even know if I should practice today. Like I legit can't skate anymore. And I was
Oh,
like, but
that's
now I
funny.
get like how he's able to have such
Yeah.
like a crazy wide attack angle and still
Hmm.
explode out. And
Yeah.
like you said, it's kind of to each their own. But
Yeah.
is there like a goaltending style that you think is kind of like majority pushed in Switzerland, or do you feel like they do a good job of kind of like letting the goalie figure it out on their own a little bit?
I would say it depends on where you like which club you're coming from because it depends a lot the type of goalie coach that you have. If you even have a goalie coach.
Mm,
Um like I would say I've always been kind of like the stubborn kind of person goalie wise. Like if a goalie coach tells me to do something that I can't really, I don't
yeah,
know, that doesn't really sound good to me, I'm just gonna be like absolutely not. Like,
yeah,
and I will tell them to like just leave me alone with that. But other goalies, I would say like they get influenced way too much sometimes for goalie coaches because like goalie coaches still, especially in the young ages, they just want to like put their style onto the goalie without respecting what it actually is good for them.
yeah.
So yeah, is there a style that is the majority? I would still think it's that like going down on the first like reaction kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's that butterfly, you know, it's such a thing. Like every time
Yeah.
I like teach or like coach young kids, they're like, "Oh, can we look at butterflies? Can we slide around? Can we do this and that?" And I'm like, "No, we're gonna skate." They're like, they're gonna cry about it, and I'm like, you know what? Like
It's
I've played so many games, and I'm like, and I hated skating, but I'm so thankful now that my goalie coach in the past like made me skate until I collapsed almost. But it's the
I mean,
best thing ever,
it's played on ice. The game is on ice. This is the thing that
right?
separates everything of like it's same for players too. Like if you can't keep up with the pace of play,
Yeah.
you have no and I think skating is honestly one of the biggest like differentiators between Canada, US, and then everybody else kind of is just they can get to that, like the girls are not stronger necessarily, or it's just the skating
Mhm.
of how much can you get out of a stride and
Yeah.
acceleration and like it's not fun, like you said, to practice it and to do
Nope.
these skating drills. And I mean, we're in an epidemic right now of goalie coaches just renaming things and coming up
Oh
with
God.
drills for
Yes.
Instagram. Like
Yeah.
this is the worst thing. Like I'm watching so many just like they got like they're juggling balls and they got
Yeah.
medicine and they're throwing it and like I'm like, what are we doing here? This is this is not getting anything out of this. You're
No,
not
or it's the same thing that they did like 20 years ago, to be honest. They just like
right.
made it fancy because it's a new thing or whatever.
It doesn't
Like I
need to
don't,
be that
yeah,
crazy.
no, it's really, it's like the simple things usually are the best, to be
Yeah.
honest.
I it works. Like, you
Yep,
know, I had a problem with one of my issues at Maine was I felt like girls are like the girls, the goalies that I would get, and it happened a little bit on the men's side too with like junior players of like they're so used to just doing what the goalie coach has told them to do
yep,
that they either try to do the thing that you're telling them to do and they know it's not working, but they still try to do it rather than just tell you this doesn't work for me. And
yep.
like trying to communicate to them like there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of solutions here. And part of this has to be that relationship of you being honest with me so I can figure out what your game is, how you see the game, how you're internalizing things, like what you're looking at, so we can find the right solution. But at some point, you have to be the captain of the ship and make the final decision. I'm not the one stopping pucks.
I know, but a lot there plays into also like goalie coaches being open for that. Because obviously, I remember coaches being like, "Hey, I want you to do this and that,"
Mhm.
and when I tried to talk about it, they wouldn't even listen. You
Yeah.
know, like that's I totally agree with you. When I learned, I had to learn that too, that I have to stand up for myself and be like, hey, at the end of the day, I want to be good out there, and that doesn't work for me. Like, how can we fix it?
Mhm.
But like a lot of the young goalies these days are so scared to speak up because their goalie coaches wouldn't allow it.
Mm.
They would treat them like, hey, how you dare to speak up? How dare you to even question me? Like I'm
Yeah.
older, I'm better, and whatever, more experienced, whatever their explanation was. And I think that's a huge problem as well, sometimes.
Do you think a lot of that was, the fact that you were playing on boys teams? And like, I would assume that they're trying to get you to play a boys like style of goaltending. And like you said, there's a lot of overlap, but you do have to make some adjustments.
Mm. I think it helped um that my parents allowed me also to like attend like camps and stuff, or
Mm.
like gave me like I wouldn't say private lessons, but sometimes they would because they saw that we didn't really have a goalie coach.
Okay.
Um, so I think that helped also getting different inputs, like figuring out my own style by getting a lot of different inputs from coaches. Um, I think that helped me to develop my own style a bit better than only having one goalie coach that tells you to do it this and that way. Um,
Gotcha.
I think that helped me, and I think I've always been kind of like a more like individual kind of person
Mhm.
that wouldn't allow like I don't know how to say it, but my brain is very logic in that sense. Like if a goalie coach tells me something that doesn't seem logic to me, I'm like, why would I do it then? So I think
Yeah.
that's just also like who I am. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. Sometimes I'm a bit too stubborn in that sense. I've heard that too from goalie coaches. They're like, you're not even allowing me to finish my sentence. I'm like, yeah, because it doesn't seem logic to me. Why would I listen to you?
So
So
where do
I had
you
to,
go ahead?
yeah. So yeah, I had to learn that too, to be a little bit open sometimes, more open.
Well, I was gonna say, like, where do you kind of find like those? Yeah, I'm gonna guess at this point you're not making like drastic changes to your game, but like, where
Yeah.
do you sort of look for those like 1, 2, 3% improvements, or are you more just like I'm kind of sticking with what I got? Like, I know I talked to goalies in Maine about like experimenting with kind of like cutting into the shaft of the stick has become a kind of a thing
Mm,
now, and being able to get a different blocker and wrist position and maybe be able to attack pucks in tight a little
yeah.
bit better. Um, but I also understand some goalies being like, at this point, I'm not looking to get too crazy with it.
I think it was a learning curve sometimes, like I used to be very like focused on how I played and being like, oh, it works out. Why should I change it? Um, and then I came into college, and obviously the playing style with the small eyes and
Mm,
obviously the woman's side, like it was different. So I had to adjust a bit. But I also had coaches who were like very much like me in some sense. They're like, I don't care what you say, just do it kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I had to kind of like change myself a bit and deal with that too. But that made me a bit more open for new ideas as well. So I
Mm.
had to like go through a hard lesson there with my coach at Ohio State sometimes. She'll be like, I don't care who you are, I don't care about what your background is or how stubborn you are. I'm more stubborn than you. So Cassie, she kind of beat me with my own game there. And was like, you know what, if you just don't follow what I'm saying or I'm trying to help you, you're just not gonna play anymore. And I'm like, oh damn it, maybe I do need to
Wow. I
yeah.
never played that card. That's a tough card to play.
Yeah, and that came from my head coach and not from goalie coach.
Ooh.
I know, crazy, but I kind of was scared of her, so still am, to be honest. No, but she was amazing in that sense because
Yeah.
she really drilled me into changing myself. But it helped me, like it helped me figuring out myself a bit more of when I can be stubborn, when I actually need to be open-minded and,
Mm,
at least like try it out. And
mm,
since then, since my time at Ohio State, I've been very good at filtering out like new ideas that might work and
mm.
might not, but also listening to them and you know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least I tried.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah,
there's a time and a place to try new things. Like it's not mid-season. It's not like obviously like playoffs right now. This is you take with what you have and you're
yeah,
trying to just, lock in and that sort of thing. But like summertime, you
yeah.
can obviously mess around with stuff.
Of course. And you should.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
try a different size pad or a different feel. Obviously, they're always coming out
yeah,
with new gear and that sort of thing. And, you know, it's
exactly.
so one thing that's kind of unique about Swiss players, at least in my experience, is that you guys have mandatory service.
Yeah,
Um, and it's always funny to me, like they get pulled off and like Heeshear, I think had to spend like a whole summer doing it to like not, mess up with
yeah.
everything. At what point did you have to do that in your career? And like how have you gotten anything out of that you've been able to apply to hockey?
Well, first of all, it's only mandatory for guys.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So guys have to do it. For women, it's a choice. So for
Okay.
me, I chose to do it.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I actually served my time with Nico Hischier the same
Oh,
summer.
okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
So that was fun. We trained together.
Special hockey player
Um,
unit.
yeah, basically, yeah, with a whole group of hockey players and we just played like practice together. And it was only like off ice, not on ice. So it was kind of fun, honestly, spending a whole summer with a group of guys just like practicing.
Yeah.
And I think what helped me is that like before that, I always had to like either figure out my summer because I was in the US at that time, so I had to figure out my own summer, practice with the program we got from Ohio State. But I was always on my own almost. So that's a different, I don't know, like it needs different kinds of discipline and drive to really stick to the program and like
Mm.
execute it to actually get better and not just to train. Whereas like after I was in the military the whole summer, I had the group of guys I practiced with. I had I had coaches there like present with me every training session. And
Mm.
that really like I really made a step forward there and I made me realize this is the best like decision I could ever do like
Mm.
like in terms of my career like hockey like athletic wise like I got so much stronger so much faster. I got like really like I practiced twice a day for a whole summer.
Wow.
And that just changes also your mindset,
Yeah.
to like, hey, I really want that too because I see results. And that just made me so much more professional, I would say.
What originally made you opt in?
It was that they kind of like they always had that program for like athletes, like male athletes to be like, hey, you can serve in the military while still like competing in your sport.
Mhm.
So like it was like a way of like the government supporting us too, like supporting athletes. For like women, it was always like a choice to do it or not. Like we didn't have to. But I mean, like they asked me because they wanted to open it to women's hockey players, and they wanted to like have like a test subject, I would say, to see if it's something for us. And I was like at that time at the right age, and I was like already settled in as like number one in the national team. So they were like, hey, maybe, like I can be like the one to do it first. I was like, you know what? Why not? Like it seemed at that point a very good option because like I never had to figure out my summer plans. I always knew like I had everything figured out. Like
Yeah.
the government pays me to be in the military basically. So it was like a win-win for me. Was
That's sick. Have you
yeah.
told like more girls like, hey, you should really think about this?
Yes. So since I started, I think every year there was at least one person doing it, women's
Oh,
hockey.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think this year will be another one. Last year there wasn't, but I think this year will be maybe will be another one. Who knows?
That's so cool. That's so
Yeah.
cool. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's tough to think like we have like we have to register for a draft, but we don't have like this like
Yeah.
military camp to go away to. And I think like
Mm,
it's such a unique experience because like you said, like you are training, you're not necessarily like on the ice training, but like you are training
yeah.
off ice and you're one of the things I think about goaltending especially is like when I first started coaching, like 10 whatever years ago,
Yeah.
um, I was big on like, okay, it's all about technique and perfect technique and positioning and hockey IQ and like those stuffs are
Hmm.
important, but like I'm convinced now that like 80% of this is mental because I've seen
Yeah.
so many goalies just they're so good and they just stop believing in themselves or they get in their head that they're letting up goals and pucks just start squeaking through
Yeah.
versus other goalies where there's not really any semblance of technique. Looking at it, I'm like they're gonna get lit up and they just pucks hit them because they
Yeah.
believe and it something like the military, I could see the mental that you would get out of that, like the mental resources, faculties, whatever the word would be so beneficial, especially when you go into situations like Canada or United States or, a bronze medal game where there's so much pressure and you are going to be
Hmm.
one of those three people that are going to be the difference maker for your team. And knowing that you've gone through hard things before.
100%. 100%. I would even go so far. It's probably 95% is just mental.
Mm,
Because like I like sometimes like I consider myself, yes, I am probably one of the best goalies in women's hockey, but like even when I don't believe in myself, when I struggle to find the confidence, like either in practice or in a game, I letting easy goals because I just don't, like sometimes I'm even like, why did I let that in? 95% of the times I would, that's an easy save. I let that
yeah.
in because like I wasn't ready. I wasn't there. I was tired. I was whatever. Like I just wasn't mentally there.
Mhm.
So I think it's huge and it's such an under like people underestimate that so much because they
Oh,
think, oh, just practice more and more reps, just get more shots in. No, it's not. It doesn't matter how many shots you practice. If you don't believe in yourself, you're just gonna let them in, no
absolutely.
matter how good you are.
Do you have a sports psych that you've worked with in the past? Do you meditate? Do you visualize? Like what is kind of like your mental game, your
Yeah.
training?
I do have a bachelor's in psychology. I
Oh,
think that helps.
okay. All
Yes.
right. There we
Yes.
go.
I know. I sometimes I believe I'm my own little therapist sometimes. So it's kind of funny. I think that has helped me a lot. It's like getting to understand the power of your mind,
Yeah.
and that whole and like gave me tools to to see like bad habits or bad, I don't know, like just like something that could cause some like mental disruption or
Hmm.
mental challenges and
Hmm.
address that very early before it becomes a physical problem, kind of.
Yeah. Are
That
you a
makes
big
sense.
routine person before games?
Not at all
Not at
anymore.
all.
I used to be. I used to be.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Used to be. Also, big change I went through in college, actually.
Okay. Was it just because
Yes.
like this was not possible to do the whole routine or like what spurred that?
I think it was a mixture between like, hey, I can't control a lot of the things we do on the road. Like I used to
Oh
be
yeah.
very like specific of like, hey, I want to have this meal. I want to, go for a walk. I want to do this and that. And then I went into college and they didn't care about individual routines and this and
Yeah.
that. Like they're like, hey, we have this program, you figure it out yourself kind of scenario. And then the other was like, it was almost getting too energy draining to figure out my routines, to stick to
Mm,
them, to make sure I had them, that it was almost a distraction, or made me mentally tired, if
interesting.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a lot to like, put on, a routine of if it has
Hmm.
to be a specific way and you don't get it. Like you said, like it just, I feel like it's creating more variables that are out of your control.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the
So
opposite.
now I like don't care anymore. I just go and play. I could literally step on the ice right now and play a game probably, and it would be fine.
Do you take a lot of time off in the summer from the game?
Um, it depends on the season a lot. Like
Okay.
for example, like before this season, I took total of 2 weeks after last year and the new like summer season or summer practice off season, two
Yeah.
weeks. But I think after this season, I'm gonna take a month. I like need a break. Like it's been exhausting. I'm like just I don't know. I'm running on like my 5% that I have left right now for playoffs.
Well, and two, now you're gonna have the PWHL draft coming up, and it feels like the summer towards the end as the season gets going is just it's gonna be a hectic time of obviously you're gonna be
Yeah.
potentially moving, you don't know where. You probably
Yeah.
have a kind of an idea roughly, but you don't really know, and
No.
it's gonna be adjusting again, and a month minimum sounds about right. And I would
Right? Yeah.
think too, like for you, you know, I know so many goalies that like especially like pro goalies later on in their career, like they spent less and less time in the summers practicing. It was kind of like I know I need X number of weeks to get back into playing shape and to get get zoned in on shots again, and that's what I'm taking and everything else is for me.
Yeah. Like I used to be a little bit like that. I was like, hey, can I go on the ice as early as possible? Or like, I need at least like a training camp before
Mm.
actual season starts. But then I think what helped there too is like COVID. Because COVID
Oh yeah.
made, yeah, either like that, and because of COVID and like they canceled the World Championship, they moved the World Championship to August. Like we played in August, what was that? 2021, I think. We played a world championship in August
I think I
before
remember
the
this.
actual
Yeah.
season starts. And I like remember because I rolled my ankle for 3 weeks before that and
Oh,
tore my ligaments in my foot.
you tore
Yes.
ligaments in your foot?
Yes, two of them.
What were
I
you doing?
remember like I was playing a game
Oh, okay.
in a warm up, and it was like the warm up game to the warm up off ice program to the ice. Like it was a silly little ball game. You know how it goes. You're like
Like
not
sewer ball?
really, yeah, kinda.
Okay.
So I was
Tore
jumping up to
ligaments in
catch
your
a
foot?
ball, and I landed on my ankle, twisted my ankle, it cracked. I was like, holy shit, I broke my foot. It was just two ligaments. I was back on the ice like 3 days later.
Is that like
Yes.
medically advised or was that just you?
Oh, that was just I guess me. Well, the, it was kind of nice because the doctor was like he was like technically my sports doctor, like
Yeah.
he's like you don't really need your ligaments as a goalie anyways, or as a hockey player anyways, because you have a natural brace with the skate. And I was like, I like you. You're my
Okay.
favorite now.
Okay.
So he's like, as long as it's like good pain wise from like the swelling, you're good to go. I'm like, good, nice.
All right.
He's
We're
like,
in.
just take it easy with like sprints and stuff like that. Wear a brace. I'm like, sure, I'll do that for you. So
Perfect. You
yeah,
get to play and you don't have to do sprints.
exactly, amazing. So yeah, I played, and like that whole like that was a wild summer because I had some other issues too. Before that, I didn't touch the ice until like short period before the World Championship. I went to a World Championship and it worked out fine.
Mhm.
I think that made me realize sometimes spending less time on the ice in summer and getting your head or mind off of hockey
Yeah.
can help you recharge and be even more ready because you can, I don't know, you're not. tired already because you're actually
Yeah.
looking forward to going on the ice again. I think that's
Yeah,
just for me, I don't know. Like
I think this is the biggest thing that a lot of college goalies, in my experience, miss is
Mhm.
like it's hard to explain like how much of a grind it is. I'm like, I know it's
Yeah.
great now, and I know like you're super excited to be playing college hockey. Get back to me in February and let me know where
Yep.
you're at when we get to February, because you're gonna be over it, and you're gonna still have a couple months left to go. And
Yep.
like I told all the goalies, I'm like, listen, it's 20 kids, 25 kids on this team. There's maybe going to be some girls that are like good friends of yours, but like it's not a
Hmm.
huge population size. Go and find a friend who plays another sport somewhere on campus because they're going to understand
Yeah.
what it means to be an athlete, but they have no say in the team. They have no stake. Your success does not affect their success. And that you can't say that about all the players on your team. And like
Yeah.
I would love for you to get along with your goalie partners, but there's a reality to the situation of you're all competing for one spot as much as you can be
Yeah.
professional. But I also think it's important to find a NARP friend. Find a friend who doesn't care about sports. The more unathletic, the better, because they're going to
Yep.
bring you back and you can mid-season when you're over it, go and talk to them and they're not going to care about hockey. They're not going to ask about hockey. You can just be, Andrea, and that's it. And it's going to be so good for your mental health and is going to help you down the stretch.
100%. I remember the best year I had was my first year because I had a roommate who was an ARP. She
Ah,
did not have a single clue about hockey. She didn't even know what the hockey was, to be honest. So, but I had the best time with her because she like
yeah.
got like introduced me to her friends. I had not friends. I had friends that had nothing to do with sports that were super like pumped for me, for being an athlete, but they didn't care. It was the
Yeah.
best thing ever because I got to hang out with normal people and get away from hockey and actually use the time I have outside of hockey for
Mhm.
outside of hockey and not being like, hey, I'm not in hockey technically right now,
Mhm.
but I'm still thinking about hockey. Like
Yeah.
that just gets so much like that's why I like barely watch actual hockey games now when I have free time. I don't. Like
I
I
can't
don't
watch
care
them.
about men's team at home. I don't care about the NHL. Like I check the standings every once in a while to see what's going on or watch the news, but other than that, I don't watch it. I watch like baking shows and I don't even know like like the stuff that just like it just has this like it's like the most far away from hockey as possible just to get away, you know?
Are you a big British Bake Off fan?
Yes, I absolutely love that show. They actually have a German version of that. That's also a
Oh,
big
do they?
favorite of mine. Yeah, they do.
Oh, that's the
Amazing.
best part about being in Europe is you get like the European versions of all these different shows.
Yes. It's the best thing ever. I watch it every Wednesday. It's the new show.
Did you have the experience of when you got to college, someone coming up to you and be like, there's a Swiss player on the basketball team and do you know them? Do you talk to them? And like coming up and be like,
Yes.
I know someone who's from Germany. And be like, well, it's a different country, but thank you for telling me.
Basically, everyone is like, "Hey, there's a German on that team. Do you speak the same language?" And I'm like, "First of all, what the fuck? Like, do you have any idea of like world geography and how languages no, they don't.
No.
So yeah, I got still asked like after 4 years what language I speak from my teammates, and I'm like, guys, we're over this now. So yeah, that and everyone was just assumed because they're like from Europe, you know them.
Yeah.
That they just assumed that. I'm like, I've never heard of that person. Thank you very much. But it's cool that they have a person like that on the
I'm
team.
glad there's another European there. That's
Yeah, I'm
fantastic.
like, hey, fellow European, I don't know you, you don't know me. We probably will never hang out or speak a single word, but cool that you exist.
Did you ever let them know, like, there's a Canadian on the other team too. I don't know if you guys want to chat at all.
No, but that would have been a very good one. Maybe I'll do that in the future. Who knows?
I remember when I got over there was a guy, I think he was the only American on the men's Björklöven team at the time. I forget his name,
Hmm.
but they had like a day where I feel like all like the local sports teams came together and put on sports for free so kids could like try sports out. And people from each of the teams came to like try floorball, like handball or
Yeah.
um uh floorball. I'm trying to remember all the sports. Like they had some
Yeah.
electric sports over there that we just don't have
Yeah.
over here. I wish we had like floorball and handball and more of that stuff. But
Yeah.
I was over there and he was at the hockey booth and I came up and I knew he was American and I came up to him and I was just like, "Hey man, I'm also from America." And I thought he was gonna cry. He was so happy. Like and like Umeå is up there. It's not like the most hustle bustle town. It's kind of a small,
Yeah.
I would say it's a bit of a smaller town and like
Hmm.
you get into the winter and man, it gets dark and it's dark a long
Yeah.
time. And we were
Yeah.
probably about a month into that. And this guy, I thought he was gonna cry and give me a
Oh,
kiss. He
that's
was so
funny.
excited to see me.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the same for us Europeans because I think we're like, I don't know. Maybe it's because like we're so many different countries here in Europe, um, that you're like, hey, there's another German. You're like, I don't care because it's not my nationality. So
Yeah.
who cares? If you be another Swiss, maybe I care more, but probably not because,
Still
uh,
it's a huge country. There is millions of people. Like it's
yeah,
not like I feel
true.
like they think it's like Florida or something where there's just like it's kind of more, even that's like pretty big too. Like it's,
Yeah,
yeah, that's so funny. Oh, it
yeah,
was
it is.
always like my big headache. I was like, oh, I knew they were gonna come and say that to somebody and just like, but
They always
it's a
do.
rite of
They
passage
always
for
do.
kids, I guess.
Okay. At some point, I was like, "Oh, cool. Thanks for telling me." Like another one who told me. Thanks. It's not that I heard the same thing over and over again. I'm like, whatever.
I'll keep a little running note tab in my phone. Okay, I'll let you
Yeah,
know.
basically. Yeah, basically. I have a list. I'll add
So
it.
you guys got 4 years till the next Olympics. I think personally, the door is pretty wide open. Like I think USA, they're a young team. I think they're probably going to be the favorites come Olympics unless there's like a lot of injuries. But you know, and I thought it was kind of funny. People were freaking out about Canada being old. I'm like, listen, there's good Canadian players, young Canadian players. Like let's not worry. They're going to be okay. But
Yeah.
I do feel like the door is opening a little bit. Like obviously, I think Sweden's going to be good, but I think you guys are going to be really good too. I think Czech's going to be good. I think Russia is this wild card because I seen a little bit of their national team in the past few years playing like Bulgarian men's U16 teams, and I'm like for
Oh.
whatever that's worth. But they got some pretty sick players over there in the Russian league. Like it does feel so wide open, and like there's never been this much parity at this, if you want to call it like the step below level, and that gap is closing. So as you kind of
Mhm.
look into these next 4 years, like what do you think are going to be the most important things, not only for you and your goaltending and progressing, and as you jump into the PWHL, but also for the national team as you look forward to these world championships and then eventually the Olympics.
Yeah. I think it's like not to miss the opportunity that we have right now in Swiss hockey. Like we saw in 2014 when they won the bronze in Sochi. Um, there was a huge boost after, and I think now with like women's hockey being such an like on a rise, like
Mm,
capitalizing now on that boost that we get from the bronze in Milano Cortina is gonna be the most essential one, to get like bigger, like more opportunities for young girls to play at high levels, to practice more frequently, to get good ice times, to being able to cut down on their jobs to really focus on hockey. I think that's going to be a key because we see it happening in Czech, we see it happening for Finnish players and all of those. Like they're able to be pros almost,
mm,
by now playing abroad, but like we could do that in Switzerland as well. Like because like so many of us they don't want to like go away from home. So if we could do
mm.
that would be huge. And I think the key to really develop into the right direction and not lose or miss the opportunity now. For me, I don't even know. I'm 28 years. Sometimes I consider myself being super old. And then I see the Canadian team being like, actually, I'm not old. I don't really know. I think the biggest thing is just like staying healthy, like really like, and also not losing the the fire I have in myself
Yeah.
or the love I have for the sport. I think that's gonna be the biggest. the biggest thing because like sometimes it just gets harder and harder every year to motivate yourself to
Yeah.
start again practicing when you see all your friends around you, you know, like getting good jobs, like good paying jobs, getting families and
Yeah.
living their lives, doing whatever they want. And I, you know, sometimes it gets hard by all of that. Um, so I don't know. Will be interesting to see what's gonna happen in the future. I these
Yeah.
days I just take day by day. Not day by day, but year by year, almost like season by season, and see
Yeah.
if I what will happen in the future, you know.
I think that's the way to do it. Like if like you say, if you try to plan out too far, injury here, this thing happens there, you know, you never know. And it's just it's so unpredictable, right? But I think you're in an awesome spot. I really think you guys have so much potential in this next 4 years to, like you
Yeah.
said, like really grow the game and show so many of these. Like, what is the big sports in Switzerland? Is it soccer and tennis are the two big ones?
Skiing, actually.
Oh,
Skiing,
yeah,
skiing,
skiing.
soccer, and hockey, I would say, are the biggest ones.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure if Swiss took off after Federer.
He was like the main drive into like the tennis hype. So since he's not playing anymore, I'm not really sure about the hype around tennis anymore.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So, how is it pretty affordable to play hockey? I know that's a huge problem for us here of like, but it's decently affordable in some countries. Is it decently affordable for Swiss?
I think especially in the big clubs it is because they also
Okay.
get like equipments provided through like the teams like facilities. They have like hand downs and all of that. I think it's
Okay.
easier. It's not as expensive, but it still is pretty like it's not like soccer where you can
Gotcha.
just like, hey, go out and play.
Gotcha.
Oh,
I wanted to ask you too. Um, you were in college right around the spur of the NIL stuff and that coming in. Did it hit your last year at Ohio State or when you were at BU? And then the transfer portal, obviously, with that
yeah.
opening up till you can go and you can play next year.
I think it didn't really hit until like last year's of
Okay.
Ohio State and then into Boston, but it was never really like a thing for us
Mhm.
because we didn't really have a lot of the information around it, you know.
Yeah,
Like there was a lot of uncertainties going on. Like you never really know what was allowed now, what
mhm.
wasn't, what can you do, what you can't. Like does it include women's hockey or not? Like there was so much uncertainties that I personally was like, hey, I just stick to the old rules and
Yeah,
just like if someone tells me clear what can and what you can't do and what you can, you know, whatever,
yeah,
then I'll capitalize from that. But like it was a mess.
yeah. It still is a
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah.
But I had wondered because I know a lot of Europeans kind of came in, especially national team players, like would have like random sponsorships, cell phone
Yeah.
service or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if this kind of opens the door a little bit more, and especially like revenue share now of, if a school wanted to go more in on women's hockey, for example, and devote, let's say, 25, $50,000 to the team and say, we're going to divvy this up. And obviously it gets kind of crazy with international players because like you have visa requirements and restrictions, and this kind of I feel is like what you're saying of like, what am I able to actually do
Yeah.
here? I feel like though the transfer portal was a little bit more of an opportunity because I wonder now how that and what your opinion on this of, you know, if you had had that transfer portal from year one at Ohio State, right? And I know you had the weird COVID year where I'm like people were masking during games and like half the
Yeah.
time you didn't even get the game played. But like assuming that hadn't happened, right? And you have 4 years and you go in at Ohio State, like how apt do you think you would have been to use the portal potentially, like especially like, capitalizing on a good season? And Ohio State's a perennial contender, so maybe this doesn't apply as much. But, if you had ended up at Bemidji, right, and you're like, okay, I can get here, transfer after maybe a year or 2 years really good and try to get to the top program. Because it does feel like there are some programs in the WCHA that are like not like fourth, fifth year programs, but they're just mostly girls from a smattering of other conferences that just dominated and they get their 1 year, one shot at it all.
Personally, again, like I don't think I would have used it because I never had an issue. I think nowadays it's been used a bit too much sometimes.
Okay.
Like I don't know, like I when I went to a high state, like I knew I wanted to be here for or like I planned for 4 years.
Right.
Because I also like knew I wanted to, like build something. I want to leave my legacy at this school. And yeah, for me, luckily it worked out because we were successful. We won stuff. And I also saw like I had some like freshmen sometimes transfer out of a high state because they didn't play a single minute. And I think that's just like
Mm.
sad. But I can understand that, like, if that's your circumstance and you want to just play and go to a team where you get that chance, do it. Then it's the best thing ever that you're allowed, like, you can do it.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't know, like, it was like the coolest journey from being that freshman, that small kid, to going to be like a senior and upperclassman and having that senior role on that team. I think that was the coolest thing for me personally in that whole 4 years. And I think that's being missed now for so many because they just transfer
Yeah.
wherever they want to go and just go for success, like straight up success, unless for that like four
Yeah.
year like kind of like making like a place your home and leaving it better or like leaving it in a better way when you came kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I guess too, like your development factors in too of like, is your, you know, if you feel like college is your peak, right?
Yeah.
Then you're like, I
Yeah.
want to win that national title. Like this is my
Yeah.
Olympics. But
Yeah.
I would think for someone like you where you're like, I would love to win a national title, but I have the Olympic Games. That's my goal is the Olympic medals. But, there's also, like you said, like European championships that I'll have an opportunity to play
Yeah.
for, and that it becomes more of that journey mindset
Yeah.
versus I this is it. And then it's off to the 9 to 5.
Yeah. I mean, then it's fair. It's like it depends on your priorities, I guess.
Yeah.
I just sometimes would love to see more of that, also like that loyalty
Mm.
you have to your school. Which I like got introduced when I came into a high state. It was all about like being like having that pride of wearing that jersey, of like continuing the legacy for the next 4 years. And I got socialized like that coming into college, and I was like, I thought that was a super nice thought, and I loved that, honestly. And like when it came into the fifth, like that, like COVID year stuff, when everyone was just like moving around, and I just kept going, and I'm like, well, where is that like loyalty to your former colleges, to your like
Mm.
I don't really see that anymore. Like I don't know. Like I just like I think it's a good thing, the portal, that you have access to it and that you like depending on your circumstances you can, like find a better opportunity for yourself if you're unhappy or if you're looking for, like a better opportunity, you do it, but it don't just like do it because
Yeah.
I don't know.
What do you think about more of like a European like club model almost of like you sign like a 2 year contract or something saying like, okay, I have 2 years and then I have a 2 year option with Ohio State and I can be here for 4 years but I'm committed for 2 years at the very least and I can't transfer in that 2 years type thing. And maybe in return they like, okay, we'll give you 5 grand of revenue share a year or something.
I see it. I don't even know. Like that would be very hard to build because it's so big. Like the NCAA, there's so many teams, so many
Mm,
conferences. I think it would be. It's an interesting thought, but I don't see it being impossible to actually like introduce that into like the system they have now.
mm,
Um, that's just not how college works, I would say. Like, I don't even know. I can't even see that like being, hey,
yeah.
you sign like a two-way contract with Ohio State and Wisconsin. I don't know if they would want that.
I've heard so many people like throwing out different ideas right now. It's
Oh,
just
really?
everyone's trying to make money.
Oh, fair.
I was talking to a collective head at a school that I won't name, but basically he was explaining to me that when they were recruiting athletes, they were basically promising them a certain amount of money, and that his job was after they signed these deals to go out and fundraise it for the athletes. So like
Oh,
he would like they'd promise millions of dollars and then he had to go out and fundraise millions of dollars. And if he didn't do it, then the player just didn't get paid. And I was like, this is incredibly cannot be legal. This cannot be legal. But like this is how this particular collective was operating.
Yeah.
And, another one collective guy told me like they want the athletic department to kind of separate from the college and not be required that athletes go to college because it inhibits who can be recruited in certain instances. Because you do like, as a, contrary to what some kids believe, you do have to be able to get into the school and
Yes.
you do
Yeah.
have to keep GPA. And
Yeah.
they were talking about like this is a hindrance with some players. And like it becomes
Yeah.
about maximizing profits. And there's some universities now out west that not hockey ones, but like they're starting to merge with like private equity companies that are just like pumping money in. And then it becomes a question of like, hey, does everybody need a helmet for practice? Like it's all about cutting costs. And I think
Yeah.
it's not good because I think it puts sports at risk, especially like the only teams turning profits are some men's basketball teams, some women's basketball, and even just like some football teams.
Yeah.
But, a lot of times a lot of schools lose money on these endeavors. And, I know
Yeah.
in Maine, men's hockey subsidizes pretty much everything. Like this is the team that
Yeah.
runs the place. And, I worry about it because I think back to like, you know, when I was in college, my roommates were baseball players. My girlfriend was on the hockey team. My best friends played field hockey and basketball and like all these sports that if it was only about profits, none of these kids I would have ever met. And my life would be drastically different. Worse, I would say.
Yeah. Tough one. But that's the thing. Like college has always been like amateur, you know. It's to
Yeah.
protect the players, also giving them. I think it's important for us or for athletes to go to school because like one injury can end your career, and what are you left with? Yeah,
Criminal justice major.
if I get like I am, yes, but
Yeah.
I went to college, like so many others are like, hey, I don't really want to go to school. Like
Mm.
now, if that would be the case, and football players, for example, don't have to go to school anymore, which not that they attend a lot of classes,
That was
I
it.
say, you know, like I have never seen them out in the wild, I would say. I literally. So I don't even know like where they lived. I have no idea. Anyways.
My
But
cousin
like
went to OSU and he said he saw them one time when they showed up for a intramural basketball game.
yeah. Well, I saw like the backup player,
Yeah.
whatever, on team X and Y and Z, basically. The
Right.
140 players. I don't even know how many team players they had on the team.
There's so
The one
many.
that was never stepped on the field, to be honest. Like he was
Right.
practicing player.
They
I
have
saw
to get a
those
degree.
guys. Yeah, they have to get a degree. But like I just see it now. Like I'm so happy that I have a degree because like I just
Mm.
like I see it also with men's hockey players here in Switzerland and here in Switzerland, like in Sweden and Switzerland, Europe in general. If they like just like stick to hockey after they finish like their school, they don't have a degree. So what if they have like a career ending injury? They're left with nothing, and they probably have a family at that point.
Yeah.
But that's the same for
So-
for every pro athlete, even in North America. Like yeah, they might have earned I don't know how many millions in their career, but like if you have a family of four and living on like a pretty high standard, that money is gonna be gone if you
yeah.
don't,
I mean, I've seen so many kids, like guys that I knew playing in Maine that are now they're playing in like second tier Italian leagues that you've never
Yeah,
heard of. And
yeah,
I'm like, it's because they don't have another option. They have to find a team somewhere.
yeah,
And whether it's in China or Italy or Bulgaria or like I mean, some of them, if you told them there was a team in Ukraine that would pay them 150 grand, they'd brave the war and go there. Like
yeah,
they're like, they don't
100%.
have a choice. So
Yeah.
it's kind of sad in a way. Like, you said like, I mean, do you have like plans to do something with that criminal? I mean, you got a psychology degree, you got a criminal justice master's degree. Like, are we doing something with that? Are you locking up criminals on the side in Sweden?
I'm currently not.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know if
Um,
you're like Batman in
yeah.
it over there.
But I did like internships with like the federal police back home in Switzerland, like with the Swiss like
Oh,
FBI
okay.
kind of. So I did internships. I'm having a plan kind of for like what I want to do. I have some contacts. I kind of want to join police and stuff. So in some
Ooh.
ways. It's like law enforcement.
Yeah.
But I'm currently a pro hockey player in Sweden. Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
kind of nice.
Be that for a little bit longer, I would think. I mean, if you stay healthy, I think you got like at least two more Olympic cycles in you.
We'll see. Well, I asked my hips,
Oh,
hips and knees sometimes they are a little rusty in the morning. So we'll see about two Olympics, maybe one. I don't know yet.
you're 28, right?
Yeah.
I'm 29, and listen, I haven't played in 10 years, and my hips still feel that way. I'm like, I'm trying to do yoga and whatever, just the bare minimum so I can go out there and move. I was trying to, I feel like as a coach, like the number one thing that wins like your kids over is like doing a sick demo that like that you could come in and be like, Olympic bronze medalist. If you do a cool demo, they're on board. And
Yeah.
so I tried at Maine to do a cool demo and I felt something in my hip pop because I went in cold like an idiot. And I went to the doctors after and like, yeah, you tore your labrum. And I was like, okay, this is where we're at now. I'm tearing my labrum, just trying to like demo a basic C cut. I think I was just like pinging on the post. I was just doing a post hinge and it just went. And I was like, is this where we're at now? This
Yeah.
is how far we've fallen.
That probably will be me once I stop playing hockey. My body just falls apart. So maybe I should keep going.
Oh, listen, don't stop working out. Do not stop. Listen, I stopped for like, I feel like that's like the hardest part of the summer is like you stop for a week and you go back and you just like can't. I'm like, where did my cardio go? It's
Yeah.
completely gone.
I mean, it's not that I have cardio right now, so that's not really a loss for me.
I
So
mean, I got into goaltending specifically to get out of the skating drills.
facts. Yeah. That's
Well,
true.
Liz, this was so much fun to get to chat. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on. You guys you're in the semifinals right now or the quarterfinals?
Semi-final. Yeah.
Semifinals. And is that on what would that be on was it Sweet TV? I'm trying to remember the name of the freaking
YouTube actually.
Oh, it's on
Like,
YouTube?
yeah, like PWHL. You can watch it for free on YouTube.
What's
Yeah.
the YouTube channel?
SDHL, I think.
Perfect.
SDHL. Like, just Google SDHL YouTube and you'll get it.
Awesome.
And
I'll link that in the description. Is there like and for your socials, where should people look you up?
Instagram, my normal Instagram. So it's like Andrea
Awesome.
Brändli, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.